Look what we did there.
Yeah, we are the Puppet Parent Podcast. My name is Chad.
And my name is Z.
That's
and
right.
We are puppeteers and parents, and we have this podcast.
Yeah, man.
And we're so happy that you're here and that you've continued to, if you're new, that you're stopping by and saying hello. And if you have followed our journey this entire ways, that's awesome. And we're so happy. And Uncle Tom is wondering if we're tailgating the Bills game in the bomb shelter.
I mean,
and,
somebody's bombing today, and it ain't us.
Oh, the poor Buffalo Bills.
Poor Bills. Can't beat the Jets.
But I am wearing a Buffalo, it's not a Buffalo Bills hoodie, but I'm wearing my Buffalo Western New York Canal Side hoodie.
Yeah.
So that makes me Western New Yorkie.
Yeah, that's right. So we're puppeteers. I feel like a puppeteer this week, see.
Can you tell me what's making you feel more like a puppeteer? I mean, we're always puppeteers, but
yeah, that's right. Sometimes
are you feeling
you're
more
a puppeteer.
Highly concentrated.
Sometimes
like orange juice?
You're a puppeteer in your heart. Sometimes, but nowhere else it seems. No, this week we're barreling towards November, and that means that exactly 1 month has passed since the beginning of the school year, and I feel like the uncertainty that was keeping people from booking artists, performing artists, and storytellers, and circus, and like everybody has been like the mist is cleared a little bit, like the fog of war is like it's like dissipated, and the bookings are starting to come in. And I was looking for because I have to check for unemployment, and I was looking at the last week, and I was like, man, I performed like 5 times last week. It was crazy.
You were busy.
Yeah. So it felt really good. It felt good to just be thinking about like work stuff and not like anything else. And it made me happy. I was thinking like, oh man, that last one, that Zoom party got out of control. And then I caught myself and I was like,
what a funny switch. You know, it's usually like, oh, that birthday party, that one kid was really loud or not listening, or they hand out snacks in the middle.
Oh yeah. It's new problems,
territory.
Modern problems require modern solutions. You can bet by the second show that day, I told the librarian, I was like, guess what happened last time?
Oh no.
I was not the co-host.
Yeah.
I was asked, hey, do you need to host or anything? And I was like, no, you got this. And we were talking about how everybody has these Zoom skills now. Well, let me tell you, if you let the audience unmute themselves, they're going to do it.
Well, if the audience is a group of
children.
3 to 5-year-olds.
No, even adults. No, because adults, we trained kids on how to use Zoom. That was the first month of school, streaming school. We'll train you how to be good Zoomers, because I'm teaching puppetry every week for a bunch of kids, getting new students every year through Serious Fun. Every week, thank you. Serious Fun after school. You can sign up. It's great. We make puppets every single week. Then we perform them. It's like an hour class. It's affordable. And these kids are so trained that every time that they have something to say, like they'll raise their hand or something, and then when it's their turn to speak, they will unmute themselves instantly right before they have to speak, and then they'll say what they need to say, and then boom, muted. Like bam, like it was like AI doing it, like software. So these kids are trained, and during the show,
but not the kids during the show.
Oh no, that was perfect. They would see
I'm confused which show you're talking about.
I'm talking about the one show where kids kept talking throughout the entire show, and yes. the host had to stop the show twice.
Thank you.
The thing is if you're an adult and you don't quite understand Zoom or StreamYard or something, where you're muting yourself, you're unmuting yourself, you might make a mistake, right? Where you just leave yourself unmuted, right? The one guy in the news who left his video on and was doing things.
Oh, no.
Getting naked.
Oh, no.
In his own house, being comfortable.
What? Oh, no.
A little too comfortable. That was this week. Sometimes accidents happen. With kids, they're so trained. So the host of the Zoom puppet show, right? I got hired to do a private performance, and the host was like, I think the host was in the back of their mind, like, okay, so if anybody unmutes, I'm just gonna like a ninja, boom, click on that person and say mute, right? The kids are so trained and so fast that they would unmute, say something, and then mute themselves, and it would look like nobody had unmuted at all, especially because there were 3 pages of people.
Oh, no.
So if somebody's talking, you can't like scroll through the different pages of people and try and find one person because they've already unmuted themselves, and this happened throughout the entire show. So if you give anyone, if you're doing a Zoom, make sure there's a little checkbox that says allow people to unmute themselves, and make sure that is not checked.
Okay,
just putting that out there into the world.
I mean, after 10 years of performing lots of different types of shows, and especially a lot of birthday party shows, we have like a list of things that we put together over time that's like things to look out for and how to deal with it. It's almost like a handbook, except it's all mental in our brains.
Yes.
You know, like balloons. Okay, there's balloons, and they are helium balloons, and they're in the space that you're performing in. You have to ask the parent in charge to collect the balloons, put them in another space, and they can come back after the show. Trust me, you do not want the balloons in the same space as the puppet show, because that's just not going to work out well in your favor. Jenny Rogers says she'd love to see our list is long.
Trust me. I thought about making a book, like a handbook, for a long time, but then I started Googling it and then finding out, like, oh, actually, Puppeteer's been writing this book since the beginning of time.
It exists,
yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't exist from your perspective.
This is true.
And from a New York City perspective, which is much different, performing in urban environments than performing in like rural environments like this. I think those lists
kind of
have some overlap, but then there's also some unique things that you need to keep aware of. You know, like your show needs to be prepared to walk up 3 to 4 flights of stairs. Because they might not have an elevator.
Yes.
You need to be prepared to be okay with that. Mm-hmm. Things like that. Or like, how small can you be really?
Well, and how small can you get away with being? Because there is a correlation of size and how much you are worth, right? Because if your show is so tiny and you're in a big space, it's going to feel like, this isn't working, right? So you can't have a matchstick theater, like a tiny matchstick theater in like a giant town hall.
You could if you have, like, there's a woman out of California who does that, and...
right, you project your image.
Yeah, she projects it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't think of her name. This is what happens, you guys. My brain, I just have deleted so much information. I think it's like Laura... something.
Laura.
Anyway, you delete so much information to make room for all the kids' information that you have to remember all the time, and then
I have all the really good stories. I'm actually writing a memoir. Every once in a while, I'll contribute to it. It's a little Google document, and all the worst stories, I think, of the juicy ones, they're all in there. And I will not name names.
Never.
But it's so similar. Every puppeteer can relate to. It's like, oh man, this one time I didn't tell people.
Oh, we've learned a lot.
To be quiet during the show. Or the one time where I heard, well, anyway, so there's murder.
What? There's no murder.
Pimps.
No.
There's.
This is not true.
No, there's alcohol.
That is true.
There's injuries.
Always a lot of drinking.
There's a lot of injuries.
More eventful
all of
events.
Those things are true, and they all happened in a puppet show.
Do you remember the time that we had to drive someone to an ATM to pay us?
Oh, God.
Anyway.
I need to write that one down, actually.
That's a good one. I mean, like, it was memorable. And that party, the music was so loud. It was so loud.
Well, first off, it was, so... If you've never been to,
this is one of the more memorable ones for me.
So let's set it up.
Okay,
so let's share this one.
Set it up, honey.
We are white. We are so white. I'm the whitest. Look at this generic fit. Without this goatee,
I mean, his name is Chad.
As any white guy. Any white guy. I'm ultra generic, right? So when you go to a black birthday party, right? To a birthday party where you are the minority, where suddenly. It's a little bit of like culture shock because I'm a white boy from the country, moved to New York City, and here are urban New York City, a black family, and they're comfortable in their space. and they're doing everything that they want to do, and that is completely different than how I grew up, right?
Well, it's just different. Yeah, exactly. And that's cool and
I
good.
love it. I love it. It's
yeah,
so
I mean, we enjoy
awesome.
it quite a bit, actually.
Yes.
But then every once in a while, it's extreme. And,
Yes.
And so we were out, I don't remember where we were, but we were somewhere where we had never been before.
I will tell you exactly where we were.
Chad
We
remembers.
were in everything about it. I was like, oh God. It was 7 p.m. and
Was
we
a
don't do
late
late
night.
shows, but sometimes the birthday mom has something in mind, right?
And this was a 1-year-old party, wasn't it?
Yes,
Or-
it was one-year-old
Yeah.
party. I forget the name. It was a very black-sounding name. And
traditionally black sounding name, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
I don't know what the appropriate
I'm not
way
going to name,
say
but
that
but
is.
you hear this name and you're like, okay, all right, this is clearly an African American. So they rented out a mosque hall. Like, what do you call that? It's like a
recreational
an
hall?
Islamic recreation center, which happens in New York City. You can rent out religious spaces, whatever. It's in the middle of nowhere, Brooklyn. It's in like the middle Brooklyn. It might have been Brownsville.
It's hard to get to.
And
You have to drive.
there's subway tracks going across. Actually, it was on Marcy.
Okay. Anyway, it doesn't.
Marcy goes all the way across.
Nobody like listening to this might even
So
live in New York City.
on our way over, in our neighborhood in Astoria, where we live, you never see cops. On our way to find a parking space in this neighborhood, I saw 2 cops
I don't even
wandering
remember this part.
around, and it's like they are out of their cars. They never go out of their cars. You see cops at the middle of the night out of their cars.
It's
like,
not the middle of the night.
whoa.
It's 7 p.m. But anyway, it's late.
So,
I
yes.
feel like I need to set up that when we get invited to a 1-year-old birthday party, it does not matter what the ethnicity or the group is. You just know you are in for a ride, because the 1-year-old party tends to be a very big deal for a lot of different heritages. So it tends to be similar to a bar mitzvah or something. So you have multiple ages. The 1-year-old, not even interested in the show. The show is not for the 1-year-old. The show is for all the other kids to keep them occupied while the adults are having their party. Okay, and this is just an excuse to get all the extended relatives and friends all together, get all dressed up. And so we've been to very, very high-class 1-year-old parties, and I shouldn't say high class. I should say like they spent a ton of money, and then we've been to some parties where they didn't have a lot of money, but they still had a lot of people. And the thing that you have to remember is it's a lot of people, and they're all different ages, and nobody's keeping track of their kids. So that is when you say yes to the 1-year-old birthday party, that is what you're saying yes to. You do not know what the situation will be, but you are going in with a brave face, and you will do the best you can to make it awesome for everybody.
Yeah. And we've been to that. They're so typical across the board, because they used to say like, oh well, if it's an Indian family, well, it's going to be a certain way, or if it's an Italian family or whatever, they're basically all the same. It's just different food, but the scenario is exactly the same for all one birthday parties. And we've been we've done it all. We've been in the projects. We've been I did a show in the solarium on I think Madison and 23rd, like on the very top, on the roof basically. So if you've seen a roof in Manhattan and there's like it looks like this domed structure that can fit maybe 3 people. I did a show in there, and it was one of the most expensive places. So anyway, so
we always know when you're driving or on the subway on your way to the 1-year-old party, you're like prepping yourself internally. You're like, okay, we don't know what we're gonna walk into, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a lot of different kids, probably chaos, but it's gonna be great, and we're gonna do a great job. So we have internally pumped ourselves up. We park the car, we carry ourselves, and you can hear the music from the sidewalk. And the sidewalk is like a bit of a distance from the door. And it's like already reverberating in my body. Like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, is this the right party, honey? And he's like, yep, this is the right party. And so then we open the door, and it's like the sound waves are like hitting my face. It's so loud. It was so loud. And I don't mean to be like, oh my God, it's so loud, you guys. But it was really loud.
it was extremely loud. It was a small space.
Yeah.
Because it's just an Islamic center, and they're typically pretty small. It's New York City, so you're not going to get a huge space. And when you walk into, so my experience is when I walk into a space where I'm in the minority and nobody knows me, and I'm like, a 30-year-old white man, you get looks. And it's usually like, can I help you?
Yeah, we were both getting those looks.
Who's with them? So you scan the room and you try and find an ally. You try and find somebody who gives you the look of like, oh, or usually somebody recognizes you, whoever booked you, hopefully. But if you can't get the person who booked you, because usually they're busy, in this case, the mother was getting the 1-year-old's hair done at a separate location, and everyone was waiting. We didn't know that. All we could hear is boom, boom, boom.
Just
this like
loud.
Inappropriate club music blasting.
And everyone looked at us for a second and then ignored us. Like they were just
worst.
like, well, whatever. We're doing our thing. And so then we're like, well, who do we talk to? So we eventually find out, because we're asking people like, hey, are you so-and-so's mom? Or is so-and-so's mom here? No, she's not here. We don't know where she is. She's supposed to be here, but she's not here. And so eventually we talk to the DJ. Hey, we're here for so-and-so's birthday party. Yeah, me too. All right, cool. Well, we're supposed to start at 7:30. You always get to the space 30 minutes before you're supposed to start. So at 7:30, we'll check in, okay? So then 7:30 rolls around, so-and-so's mom, not there. So-and-so, she's getting her hair done still. But we don't know that.
No, I think we connected with somebody. Somebody put us in touch with her sister. So if you can't find the birthday mom, it's always like a best friend or an aunt, usually like the equivalent of like a bridesmaid.
Female friend.
You got to find somebody, anyone to latch. Sometimes it's the help. The help will always know what's happening. You got to find somebody who can just give you the permission slip, or give yourself the permission slip of just like find a place where you want to set up, and if nobody says anything, just start setting up, and then that will give people the signal, the idea of there's something happening here, right, and maybe we need to tell somebody. So at that point, I was calling and not getting anywhere.
No answer.
We heard eventually that the 1-year-old was getting their hair done.
Right, but we didn't know where. At that point, we didn't know where she was. 7:30 rolls around. We're all set up. They're not there, so we say, "Oh, it's fine. We'll hold. We can hold." So we wait 15 minutes. Still not there. Then we said, "Well, we can wait another 20 minutes. Still not there." At 30 minutes. So now it's 8 p.m. Not there, and so.
And I also want to say, we're not the only ones waiting.
Yeah,
there's
whole party.
a whole party sitting there, and there's teenagers, there's mixed ages, so there's teenagers just sitting there, just like, because they don't have anything to do. I don't think they had phones.
And the music is playing the whole time that we were setting
loud.
up. So we had to be shouting to each other because we're right in front of the speakers. Like, Chad, do you have the thing? Yeah, I have the thing.
At some point, poor Z, it was really affecting you. Cause I think maybe you were a little bit sick.
Because it hurts my body.
Or pregnant.
I might have been pregnant.
Yeah, I think you were pregnant. Yeah, so at one point, you were just sitting there holding your ears with your eyes closed in the stage. Just like,
because in the stage, no one can see you. It's like a little hidey hole.
So eventually, we worked up the courage, because this was early on, because we were still performing together. That means it was more than 7 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, so eventually, we worked up the courage to just tell the DJ, and tell this one helpful teenager, thank you very much, teenager, who is probably now in his 20s, we're just going to start. And eventually, so he told
it's 8 o'clock.
His mom, who told... her husband, and eventually everybody just knows, okay, we're starting without the birth, and eventually we start the show, and then as soon as we start, somebody runs up and says, okay, good, yeah, just do it. We're still waiting.
Go.
Just go. And we do the show, and it's mostly for kids that are older.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be for
age
a
group,
1-year-old.
Not there. So we're just performing for a bunch of adults and teenagers.
And getting no response, and we're just like, just power through it. Just do it.
But they enjoyed it.
No, they did.
They enjoyed it very much. The show ended. And then immediately the DJ goes back on, so the music super loud again. And then as we're packing up, did the mom enter then? No.
It was like waiting for Godot. The baby never showed. Oh, wait, no, I take that back.
At the very end.
At the very end, we're leaving.
Yes.
But we're also like, we haven't gotten paid.
Right.
So we're kind of leaving, and a minivan pulls up and the door slides open and balloons pop out. And we're like, whoa. And here's the 1-year-old and the mother, but they're busy. And she asks her cousins, hey, can you please pay these guys?
Oh, yeah, take care of
she felt really bad.
Entertainers, the birthday people. Take care of them.
But there's a problem.
They didn't have any money. They were not prepared to pay for the entertainment. So then one girl says to the other girl, well, I got my heels on. I can't go walking down the street. Oh, there's an ATM just a few blocks, but it's about 3 or 4 blocks. And we said, well, we could give you a ride. All right. So then we gave them a ride.
It was half step
to the
away.
ATM.
Half step away from like the one thing you never want to do. Because all right, so imagine if it was just because we had performing partners and we'd send them out there solo into the world. If it was just them, and if the cousin or whoever was male and said, hey, I'll drive you to the ATM, get into my car, you say no. You say no and you walk away and you just wash your hands. But because it was two ladies, we made it slightly better, and we were gonna drive them. Okay, it was still like, all right.
No, it worked out though. So we drove them to the ATM. They apologized a million times, and then they went to the ATM. They got some money, and then they paid us. But just it was like all the things. Like sometimes a story or a show is like one of those things. Oh, and of those elements.
Fox Twin, their hair was on point. All right.
Oh yes, it was.
The birthday boy.
They got their hair did, and it was amazing.
We learned that the birthday mom also had to wait to get her hair done. It was like everybody in the whole birthday party had to get their hair done. Mm-hmm. The cousins were wearing these beautiful sparkly gowns and their hair all done up.
They looked beautiful.
It was for me. It was just awkward. It was just awkward to drive people to a bodega where people are buying liquor because it's the closest ATM to get paid, and then see more cops and then leave. And I felt like when we left, I felt like we'd been through something. Like I was like, I can't believe we got paid and that we made it out of there because it was insane.
But now even recounting the story, it doesn't feel as intense as it did at that point. Like I feel like if we were to deal with that same situation now, it would be like another day at the office.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean,
but at that point, it was like so many of these small factors all together in one situation, and it felt like a lot at the time.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh well, it would be fun to do a crazy birthday party in person.
So which puppet story did we do at this party? We did an early version of our Mystery Max show, Missing Birthday.
The Case of the Missing Birthday.
By the way, has an all-white cast. So it's just like this extra layer of just all right, like...
Well, hold on. I mean, yes, but there's also like talking animals too. But yes, all the people are Caucasian. That is true.
But at the time, it really made me think about like, okay, so we're white puppeteers coming into an all-black space, and we're performing a show, and all the puppets are white, but we're white. It's almost like makes sense in this weird kind of way.
Well,
now do we develop shows with multiracial, multi-ethnic, kind of like different kinds of people represented in our puppet casts? Yes.
Yeah, we do, and you know, we've grown as artists and as a company as well, and we have lots of fun stories from our puppet company, and then I also have stories from TV production and stuff. But it's you know, every time is a learning moment, and so now we're gonna start having a list of things to keep in mind for Zoom calls and Zoom birthday parties. So we've done quite a few at this point, and we're learning all the time. And it's been a lot of fun, and I hope that people continue to think of us as an option for their special events. So I could say that this week I've been feeling a little more homesick than I normally do. And I think that maybe the reason is because of the thing that I had talked to you about over the summer. But it's actually hitting me as a person instead of me as like, you know, the business side, which is that these holidays that are so important, we have memories around these holidays, are coming up and they're fast approaching, and it makes it really real that things are not normal when you don't get to do the things you normally do. And not even and we're not even home. And it really made our older son, Leaf, feel so sad this week when he fully realized that we're not going to be in New York City for Halloween. And I told him, I said, even if we were in New York City for Halloween, it wouldn't be the same. We wouldn't be going trick-or-treating. You wouldn't be able to do a lot of the fun activities that we normally do. And then, of course, I told him, it makes me super sad, too. I'm sad that we can't be in New York City, that we can't do all the things that we normally do. I love Halloween. I love going out with you guys. And I said, I'm going to try to make the day... me and you are going to try to make the day as special as possible. We have a lot of fun things planned, and I'll tell you guys some of the ideas. I don't know if there's any other parents listening, but if you are, I've come up with some really fun ideas of ways that we can make the day really fun for the kids. And I don't know, it's just been like a big... reminder that everything is a little messed up. Like, I think when we go back home tonight, I'm going to make some sushi again.
Awesome.
And
with the brown rice?
No, I'm going to make
new
sushi rice.
Oh,
in the
okay.
pot, because it only takes like 15 minutes.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. This is the first time
I watched a really good video of how to do it. So,
okay.
But anyway, I miss, there's a lot of things I miss. Like, I went grocery shopping in the grocery store here by myself the other day just to pick up some things, because our father-in-law, your dad, goes out grocery shopping for everybody once a week. But sometimes it's like you can't think specifically of the things that you want, because I don't even know what these grocery stores have out here. Also, I can't ask him for specialty items, because he won't know where those things are, and then he'll get something that's totally not it at all. And so it was just nice to walk through the store and see some of the things that I used to eat all the time, and I got some of those things. Like, even the spaghetti sauce that we used to get all the time is different than the spaghetti sauce that they use here. And I'll tell you, for 5 or 6 months, I can be super flexible and love whatever. I'm so, and I am still super flexible and so happy to be here and so grateful. But then there's just little things that you start to realize, if I had a choice in this, I would choose something different. And you start to miss this notion of I chose to have this in my life versus I chose to not have this in my life. And instead, I'm surrounded by other people's choices of what they wanted in their life. And that's fine, because that's their house. But it's a big reminder mentally, constantly, all the time, that I'm living in somebody else's space and that it's not my space. And I think I'm really okay with that almost all of the time, except for every once in a while, it just hits me. And then I'm I'm just sad, and I just miss it. I miss being an adult and having my own stuff, and I miss our life. And I'm sad for our kids that they're not getting to experience this year of school, but they're getting to have other things. And I keep saying that to myself, and they're doing great as far as the school thing goes. It is challenging, but they're doing the work and they're doing great and they're learning things, and I'm really proud of them. I think I'm just tired. Maybe I'm just tired. Mm-hmm. Maybe I just want a break for a few days of not having to worry about them or the situation or school, or maybe I just want to just build puppets for 3 days and not have to think about anything else. That sounds dreamy, but that's not reality. That's not reality. So anyway, that's just where I'm at with the whole thing. Is we've been out here since June 1st, and things have been crazy since March 13th. And it's a long time to be in somebody else's space. And your parents have been so nice about letting us stay. I don't know.
I think maybe I'm not feeling all those things because I used to live here. So yeah. it feels just whatever to me, It's yeah. It's we're in this space, but I helped build this house, so.
Yeah, it's your childhood home, and it's not my childhood home. Mm-hmm. So the thing, But I mean, I'm helping them to organize their home. At some point, I talked a lot last time about that podcast I listened to, A Slob Comes Clean, because she's like my guru, my cleaning guru. And at some point, I'm going to be in touch with her. Get ready. The person who runs that podcast, because I just want her to know like how much, even being in your parents' house, like her words and like her wisdom has helped me, like, and helped them inadvertently, because I made choices to decide like quality of life. Your pots and pans need an organizer, like, and look, now it's nice. Right? Like it was worth it, to make these small changes, and they've been very nice about letting me do that too. So, I don't know. Nobody's been upset about anything, so that's been good.
That's right. You don't have to worry about that.
It's traumatized.
I know. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. Look, Grandpa has been watching movies downstairs nonstop.
Yeah, ever since we moved from the basement to the third floor.
He's been utilizing that space in there. It's once again the man cave. Mm-hmm. So it's the man bear cave, and they're watching the Bills lose downstairs right now. Mm-hmm. But they have their own little traditions, and we've been a part of that. Like we've been a part. I mean, they like every Bills game is like an excuse to have like a pizza party, which is fun, or have like some of the family over, the family that comes over sometimes, and like little things like that. And Grandma just gave the kids some stuff she made for them.
Yeah, which is Halloween.
Which is what her mom used to do for her and her kids and us. Mm-hmm. Which is so always giving them books,
right?
And little needled together things. What do you call it? Stitching? No.
She knit things.
Knits. Thank you. I was
she
like,
knits
is it crusted?
Things.
No.
Yeah. So, and it's very sweet, and everybody's been very kind. I think I'm just having like a little moment. And, but also the Sesame Street podcast, Foley and Friends, there's 3 episodes out now. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to it on Audible, sign up, because you can get 30 days free, and then you can listen to the Foley and Friends.
Validate Z. She needs the validation.
I'm a true artist. I need you to like me.
Her love language is affirmation.
Yeah, words of affirmation.
So write her a 5-star review, and then she'll know that somebody cares, and that'll snap her out of this funk.
Oh, yeah. I've been trying to bake my way through the pandemic, but there's only
you take
so
that a
many.
couple different ways.
No, I mean like with cinnamon rolls and like apple muffins and such. But there's only so much stuff that you can bake, and So
keep baking though.
Uncle Tom says the Bills are in the lead.
Go
so.
Bills,
Go
man!
Bills.
Be embarrassing if they lost to the Jets, because the Jets have not won a game.
Well, the Bills have a lot of people out right now. All their tight ends.
That's what they say. All the tight ends had a COVID party.
Oh man!
No, they had to train a wide receiver, is what I heard, as a tight end. Anyway, no, it's interesting to be back here after all this time in the back of Bills country, where it's like our sports teams might not be the best, but they're all we got.
Well, everybody is very dedicated to football out here.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of how I grew up too, except that in my house, my dad was really into the New York Giants, which was strange because everyone around us was rooting for the Bills. But whatever, he liked the Giants ever since I'm not sure when, and that's who we rooted for. Always the outliers.
Guess so.
But it's been nice to kind of remember how important that feeling is to root for a team and stuff. And it's cool to see the kids like start to learn about football, I guess, a little bit, even though they're not going to play football.
Yeah,
they wouldn't really be exposed to football at all, if it wasn't for being out here.
This is true.
Because we never watch it at home. The only time I ever watch it is if they make the playoffs. Sorry, I guess I'm not a very good 12th man. But go Bills. And I like going to the.
You're not alone. There's so many. Like as soon as any team makes the playoffs, then all these other fans come out of the woodwork.
I love watching the games live, though. I think it's very exciting and fun. So I'm always happy to go to a live game.
Yeah, we've been watching League of Legends, which is competitive esports or esports. I don't even know what they're.
Oh, they don't call it esports anymore?
They took out the hyphen in esports to make it esports or something like that. But it's basically competitive video games that is like this crazy multi-billion-dollar industry where all these little kids, all these like teenagers and young 20-year-olds play these extremely difficult games. League of Legends is 5v5. And if you don't know, if you just watch it, it's hard to tell what's happening or why. So it's like having somebody nearby or watching like a primer, like a tutorial about like, all right, this is what's happening and this is why and these are the objectives and how come the map doesn't change every single time. It's good with any esports, whether it be Counter-Strike or Overwatch. There's so many esports nowadays. To figure out like what's happening and why, because sometimes like in American football, it's like he threw like the refs throw the yellow flag, but the coach can throw a red flag now, and what does that mean? And there's all kinds of interesting little nuances. So I've been doing my best to try and like tell our older son, who of course is super into video games and is very bright, and I don't want him to be in a competitive environment. We've discouraged that. But he really is enjoying watching and thinking about what's happening. And I like to watch competitive play, you know, because of the drama of what will happen and why. And it's the same in esports where there's different plays that a team can do that will try and coast their way to victory. And yeah, it's real people and you can actually see their faces. So it's cool. And we've been enjoying watching Worlds. Worlds is already done. The great thing is you can just watch them on YouTube when it's all over at your leisure. So yeah, the internet's been talking about Worlds and how crazy it was and the winner and the loser of everything, but we're still in the group bracket right now, like the semis, I guess.
That's kind of like what I do with the old episodes of The Voice.
Yeah.
And whole seasons
that
of
is
that
a competition
show.
As well, even though it's like a singing competition.
It is.
So it's kind of based on opinion, or I guess votes, like people vote.
Well, yeah. So towards the end, it's audience determined. So yeah, I know.
Never trust the mob.
Well,
Man.
Anyway, important question by
Yes.
Foxy Twin, I think is her name. She is wondering, or he, person.
Fox Twin.
Sorry, I can't read that far away.
On YouTube is watching us.
It wants to know what our favorite dish is to make for a game. Well, I could speak to that because I like to cook. And I like to make jalapeno peppers stuffed with cream cheese. Maybe I'll make some of those tonight. That sounds delicious. And also, I have a delicious recipe for spinach artichoke dip from my friend Becky Ray, who gave that to me in puppet school, and it's like so high calories, it's so gross, but it's delicious. It's delicious, and I don't know. Those are like two of my go-tos that I really like as far as you know.
Grandma will make this because we're in Western New York.
Grandma.
She will make this. It's kind of like a hot sauce wing dip where she.
It's called chicken wing dip.
Thank you.
Chicken wing dip.
So
it's amazing.
She takes a bunch of packets of cream cheese.
Yep.
And a bunch of bottles of hot sauce.
Yep.
And a couple other things and dump them all together.
Chicken.
And it's the most delicious chicken.
And it's hot.
And it's the most delicious thing that you'll ever put in your face.
Especially if you've been drinking. Just saying. I know some kids might be listening. Only adult drinks. But
drink some soda, I guess. But yeah. And so you have two options. You can either go with salty chips to scoop it out of there because it is liquid, even though it's firm, or you can use some celery. And I prefer celery because the celery naturally has a ton of water inside of it.
It's a cooling
because
factor.
it cools it down because it's hot. And she bakes it in the oven in this huge dish.
It is delicious.
And then when it comes out, everyone runs over. And it used to be that it's so popular that within 5 minutes, this entire tub, that's like the size of 2 human heads, is gone. Lately, because there's less of us around, and we
can't eat it that
we're not
fast.
20 anymore. Yeah, but that's usually our go-to. We had sheets of breakfast pizza today for the game.
Yeah.
Which was breakfast pizza, by the way, is what's the dough made out of?
It's dough.
It is not regular pizza dough.
I don't know.
It's like dough.
It's
And
like bread.
on top of that, you got scrambled eggs and bacon or sausage
And cheese.
and cheese,
Yep.
all kind of mixed together.
Yep.
Yeah, that was today's adventure.
From Tops Market.
Yay.
Yay.
Marika says she's still looking for their dignity after the last Overwatch game match against 11-year-olds. You know what? Ain't no shame in losing to somebody who is much younger than you because they have all the time in the world and their capacity for learning things, especially on a computer, quickly is so fast and fierce because... I don't know if you ever experienced this, but the first time I ever saw a video game, I'm sure my eyes got super wide and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen and I want to play it nonstop until I die.
That's how I felt too. I think that's how I felt too. And I had a Nintendo and an Atari, and so those were my 2 things. But then I never graduated up from that.
Right.
And so that has been my handicap ever since, is that the more buttons thing. I mean, I must sound like an old fogey saying it, the more buttons thing. But it is real for me, and Chad can attest. Like, I'm trying so hard to play a game that I enjoyed playing about 8 or 9 years ago, Pikmin. I loved playing this game with you. It was so fun. And so I am just trying to force my way through the tutorial so that I can enjoy it, because I want to get to a place where I can just like move and do the things I want to do. But it's like language. Like, that part of my brain has been asleep for years, I think.
Well, no. So what you're going through is completely normal.
It's painful.
Completely normal.
I just want to have fun.
So if you're out there and you feel like video games or something like TV, for me, TV or something has passed you by, especially with video games where you're interacting with your hands, right? It's like driving a car. First year you drive a car, it's really hard. And you're really nervous, and you're aware of everything that you're doing. Like, you're like, oh my God, I have to do this to steer and push with the pedals at the same time, and like the blinker and everything. Once you get enough experience, your brain suddenly doesn't have to think about it because it's all muscle memory. So
then you get to think about other things, frees you up. I mean, this is what I teach when I teach puppetry.
Yeah. That's
what I teach, is I say, like, you're going to do it so much that you will get to a point where it's very freeing. So that you don't have to be thinking about this, so you can do the job. Because I teach a lot of special needs teachers. You can do your job of listening and observing. Like, that's a huge part of teaching, is listening and observing so that you can respond to the kids that you're trying to teach. And especially kids with special needs, they have all sorts of different abilities. And there's all different ways that you might be making a connection with them. And so puppetry is one of the tools that I teach for parents and teachers and therapists, how to be able to make those connections with kids. But the trick is that you want the puppetry to eventually get to a level that you're creating life that is believable, to a point where it just is natural. And you don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about, oh, I have to do this other character and do this other weird voice. It's not my voice. And are they looking? Are they breathing? Are they thinking? It just is happening because you've done it so much. And I think that the problem for me, looping it back to the video games, is that I don't have the time to put in those hours. Because anytime that I am playing video games, I have made a conscious choice to not do any of the other work that I was supposed to be doing. And I have to like be okay with that internally, and not feel guilty so that I can enjoy the time playing the video games. But then when I'm playing the video games, it's hard because it's not easy yet, because I haven't like gotten to the point where the buttons, especially because the consoles keep changing every couple of years, it's like it feels like a new situation all the time.
So
don't patronize me.
No.
But,
so I disagree with that, but I don't disagree with the idea that it feels that way. Because video games, after the PS2 controller got analog sticks, the video game controller has stayed basically the same set for the last 20 years. But they've changed. It's been like little changes, and each console's buttons and the layout feels slightly different, because they're in different places, different hefts, different... like when you push down the button, how that feels. If you're using a third-party controller, which are crap, or like a first-party controller, which is like smooth like butter, like those are all different. So I think if you, with whatever your game is, like whatever your favorite game is, if you just sit down for like an hour a day, hour a night, whatever, and just play. That because you and me,
I know, but then those puppets aren't going to get built.
We were crushing Pikmin 3 back in the day.
I know, it was super fun. So, well, then we just, but here's the thing too, is that by the time I put the kids to bed, 9:00, you're like, peace out, man, I'm going to bed. So.
That's true. Well, I've been getting up at like 5.
Well, maybe you need to get up a little later and stay up a little later so you can hang out with your wifey.
Oh, maybe you need to, I don't know, get up a little earlier. No, it's just not going to happen. No, I know, but it's like
I'm not gonna play Pikmin at 5 a.m.
You really, it seems it's really important for you to read to the kids.
Yes.
Their entire lives, you've been reading to them.
Yes.
At least an hour a night.
That's right.
Every single night.
Yes.
Yeah, you were really good at it, and they will always remember. My mom read to me. Every single night.
You hear that? I read to them.
That's right.
We finished Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim this morning. It was really good.
Yeah, a couple of the rats didn't make it, right? Jenner's group exposed everybody by...
Why are you spoiling it, man? Why you gotta give away the ending?
What? All right. If you want the Rats of Nim spoiled for you, the book, not the movie, which was like this horror movie, thanks, Don Bluth. If you want it spoiled for you, say so in chat, and I will happily spoil it. If nobody says anything, I will take that as a sign that we do not need to talk about the ending of the book, Ms. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. I will give you all like a minute because it cycles. On YouTube, it's going to take like 20 seconds. We don't have to talk
about the book. I'm just saying, we finished it. It was quite good, and now we're reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which Leaf keeps telling me he doesn't like, but I'm going to give it another couple chapters.
I didn't like it either.
Okay, come on. Just let's give it another couple chapters, and then because what I want is to just. I'm not sure. I think that it's just not as exciting for him as the Mrs. Frisbee. Also, the language is a little older. Like, I mean, it was written a long time ago, like longer ago than Mrs. Frisbee.
Like 100 years ago.
Yeah, so there's some language that is a little bit like convoluted for them, I think. But
it's all about the narrative voice.
Yeah.
Like
maybe I'm not doing a good enough job.
No, not your voice.
What are you saying,
not
Jack?
Your voice. No, I'm talking about the author. The author's voice for the characters.
Yeah.
The characters are not likable. I'm just going to put that out there.
Especially Edmund.
Edmund is
a jerk.
He's
a jerk.
Terrible. He's awful, and I hated him because he represented everything I disliked about myself as a kid.
But that's why I think it's an important read, because like I think it is because it's but you get to see like what happens when you make bad choices, and it was one of the first kids books I ever read where a kid made a really bad choice and it affected his family, and like the bad choice kept going, and then you saw the ending of it, but then he also has like kind of a
he never redeems himself.
Well, but I think he learned from it a bit.
Sure. When like bad things happen to him and everybody,
And everybody.
It was very adult to be. It's kind of like a kid entering the adult world where they think they can do what they want, and then the adults are like, no.
Well,
No.
if y'all have any suggestions for chapter books that would be appropriate for a kindergartner and a second grader, I would love to hear them.
How about books that were not written 100 years ago? That's what I'm all about.
I know, but
you can't trust media from the last century.
I'm telling you, these newer
All
books
terrible.
are not great either. Like every once in a while, you find a book that's like really meaty. There's a lot going on, and it's really, really good.
I think it's time for him to read the first Harry Potter book.
No.
No.
Finn, I want Finn and him to read it at the same time together. We're gonna read it together. So we're gonna wait at least 1 year, maybe 2 years, and then we're gonna read them together as a family.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. You have a vision.
Yes. 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 They're so special. I just want to share them with them. Mm-hmm. Like, it's important to me.
Okay.
And then they'll have their own book when they're teenagers. I don't know what that will be. That will be a thing that I won't share with them. That will be their own personal journey in that area of reading, but that they just love and like reread and like fall in love with a million times. Or maybe it'll be Harry Potter and then they'll reread it on their own again. But it's that book series is very special. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I haven't read many chapter books for tweens, but if anybody has one, preferably in like the last 10 years, gives shout outs. My Father's Dragons.
Oh, you didn't like that one?
Oh, I disliked it. As a kid, I disliked it.
Oh, I never read that one.
He read it, though.
Did?
Leaf has read it
The
in
Little
class.
Prince. You're seeing these from the
Yeah,
chat.
from
Sorry,
YouTube
I should be
also.
looking up at the...
And Wayside School. All these things that I had to read growing up, I disliked. I
I
really
haven't read
liked...
Holes. I've heard good things about Holes. Maybe we should read Holes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard good things about
There's
that
a
one.
movie starring Sigourney Weaver and an actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Okay, well, I don't, whatever about
Anyway.
that. I don't understand that comment, but but Holes, that might be a fun one. And the Wayside School series, I do remember that.
Yeah,
I
we
think
read those.
there was
It's
like
a long-
My
it's a
Teacher
long
Was an
series.
Alien or something like that, or
Kind
Sideways
of.
Stories from Wayside School.
Yes,
Is that what it is?
that,
Yeah,
every book, something crazy is happening.
right.
But what I like is kids just like me who were dissatisfied with everything that we had to read growing up, wrote their own dang novels, and a lot of them have been getting a lot of praise as being really awesome.
We will read Holes before we watch the movie. Oh, you know what we're gonna read after Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? I think we're gonna read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory again because Leaf already read it once, but Finn hasn't read it yet, and the boys wanted to watch the movie. We always read the books first, usually. So
What was your favorite? Oh no, you didn't really read the Lion. I recently reread
I saw the cartoon of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, hardcore.
I liked it. I liked the cartoon.
Crazy.
But I think that's what made me love the book series so much was watching the cartoon of it.
Yeah.
So.
No, it was a really good adaptation.
So maybe we'll watch that after we read the book.
Yeah. I recently, 10 years ago, I reread the entire series of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and most of it I did not like, but I really liked the story that took place out in the desert. I think it was a horse and his boy. It was cool. It was like, it felt like a one-off. It felt like a side story.
Oh, is that the prequel?
No, that's The Magician's Nephew.
Oh. Okay.
And by the way, it's crazy. There's like it's kind of like Star Wars where people kind of feud about the order you should read The Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe, the Narnia series. Should you put the prequel that came fourth, that he wrote fourth, and read that first because it's technically a prequel before you read the first book that was like the first thing that was written?
I wouldn't. I would read the first thing that was written because that's how like the story evolved for everyone.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, no, you can't read the prequel. No, because the prequel is all about a character who is a shriveled up old man in the first book that's like, it's a secret that he knows about Narnia. Spoiler alert. So if you know that going in, it's kind of like, huh? You know what I mean?
Well, we've been reading the Boxcar Children books. We've read a lot of those. And Leaf really likes these books about the Unicorn Academy, I think it's called. And so I have to special order through the library the last 2 of the series because I don't think they have them at the library.
Unicorn Armageddon. The bloody battle at the Unicorn, the final stand at the Unicorn Academy.
What will happen? He's read books
Holes
1
getting
through
poked
8.
into people.
The last one was like about Snowflake and Whisper or something like that. So
there's no violence in these books, by the way.
Julie Sykes.
It's just these tween girls and the unicorns that love them.
You know what, though? I am happy that I want him to be reading some books that are of that angle because it tends to be that those books are more social emotional. And so he's learning more about friendship, which I think is important, especially for my older son. And that's the one who's reading these books right now. And like he needs to be learning about how we can be better caretakers of our friendships with people. Like he hasn't seen a lot of people that he used to interact with all the time. And I keep saying to him, because I have concerns that like, who are your close friends or who are you going to want to interact with when we get back? And don't you want to talk to anybody? Do you miss anybody? And he'll say he misses like 1 or 2 people. Chloe and Eliza, if your moms are watching this, he misses Chloe and Eliza. But when I ask, like, do you want to call them? No. Do you want to text them? Well, maybe I could send a message on your phone. But then it's never like I want to do those things. It's me saying like, do you want to do that? Do you want to write them a letter? Do you want to send them something? And like, I think it's just out of sight, out of mind. Like, it's just hard for him.
But I'm that way too. Mm-hmm. You know, like I've only usually have like one intense friendship at a time, and then everyone else is just on the periphery. But it's just that's just how I've accepted that about myself. You know, like I'm not calling all my friends all the time, but when I see them, it's like no time has passed. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to make sure that he is developing the kinds of friendships that will be long-lasting and important. And I don't know. I guess that's really important to me.
I guess so. Yeah. Riobina, by the way, yes, is totally on board with the horse and his boy. It's such a good story. It's adventure. There's cross-dressing. Aslan is in it, but you don't know the role of Aslan. By the way, and nobody's like, Aslan, save us, like the first few books or whatnot.
Yeah.
Or Aslan's like a part of the adventure. Nope, Aslan is in the background somewhere doing something else in a different country or something, and it's up to just the main character and his friend to figure it out all by themselves, and it's really cool. So definitely recommend just read A Horse and His Boy. Skip everything else, especially the last battle is not a good book. It's terrible.
All right, well.
It's about how like
we're just reading The Lion, the Witch, and the
people,
Wardrobe right
they're
now.
like, guess what? We have an evil god, and it's in this tent, and you will become a follower of ours if you go into the tent. And you need to go into the tent. Go into the tent.
Anyway, this is what we're doing right now. We're reading. We're reading more chapter books. So I was terrified of that lion as a kid. Oh boy.
Yeah,
well,
right? It's a lion.
We're just gonna try to read this first one. I'm gonna give it like 3 more chapters, and if the kids are both still like, I really don't like it, Mom, then we'll stop. We don't have to finish the book.
What about 50 pages? That's usually what they say. If you can't get past 50 pages and want to continue, then just give up.
Well, we'll see what happens because the whole family is about to end up in Narnia soon because they just talked to the professor, and the professor was like, it's possible that Lucy was telling the truth. I mean, look who the truth teller is in this family. Is it Lucy or is it Edmund? And they're like, Lucy always tells the truth. The beginning
that's really tough. No, you need to be surrounded by magical creatures
that's
before
what
you
I'm
care
saying.
About anything in that
so
book.
That's why I keep saying, like, let's get... Bills win! Yay! Bills win! Uncle Tom said that Bills win!
Wait,
yay!
He says, Bills win? Or is it, Bills win?
Bills win? Maybe it was like that.
One of those.
Yeah, hey guys. Just let you know. Bills win. Anyway,
or can I give him The Hobbit? Is it okay
for
him
do you
to
think,
read The Hobbit?
You think he'd be able to follow it?
Yeah.
I've never gotten through it myself, but that doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
So in any
I think I always just get overwhelmed.
That or the Lord of the Rings, you have to make it past the first 100 pages.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of dense things, but as soon as he leaves the Shire, then it gets really good. But if you can survive all the details about his life, then you appreciate those later when you understand like everything that made him who he
I always
is.
figured I would read it with them. So that would be like another one that we would read together. But,
but I think it's age appropriate. It's got adventure. It has 0 women. No girls, no women. It's weird.
That is weird.
It's weird.
What about the elves?
0.
Did Peter Jackson just put the elves as women to like? Oh,
any women.
I did not know that.
Any women that you see in the movies.
Oh man,
wrote it in.
I'm totally losing my nerd street cred here by admitting that I haven't read those books. It's not on purpose. I've tried a couple times, but I think. I'm really good at reading aloud, but I'm slightly not great at reading to myself. Because when I'm reading to myself, then it's just an activity for me. And then as I'm reading the words, all of these other thoughts are happening at the same time, and I'm thinking about all these other things. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly I'm like, I just read 3 pages, and I have no idea what just happened. So I'm actually getting better at reading again because I'm reading to the kids, and I'm asking them comprehension questions, which is making me follow what I'm reading more. So, and I think also, if anybody is listening to this and you guys are fellow performers, do read aloud. And I mean, even if you don't have kids, like read books aloud, because what it does is it forces you, at least it does for me, to try to find different voices all the time. So I'm constantly practicing voices while I'm reading aloud. But it's been fun. Great because I feel like it's really broadened my range in terms of like what I think a voice could or should sound like. And also it helps me practice acting because I'm constantly thinking about how would they say this, like how would they say this line? How would I say this line? And what can you add to it to make it just a little bit more lifelike, Like if somebody's disappointed, you don't just read the line, oh man, I'm really disappointed. You would read it like, oh man, I'm really disappointed.
Well, you go all in. I feel like I always go halvesies where you can give a little bit of intonation, but I'm not going to give a full performance.
It is a performance. It's a performance for me, but I love it. And I love reading.
Did you enjoy the Miss Frisbee book? Miss Frisbee and the Rats of Nim?
I did enjoy it. I did. I enjoyed that we read the whole thing and that they were both engaged throughout. I felt like the ending was a bit anticlimactic. And now I'm really interested to watch the Don Bluth film, not with them. I don't know that they need to see it.
They're not ready for that horror movie for teenagers. It's a horror movie.
But
it's
I'm
not
interested to see it again and then think about the choices that they made. Like, because I'm always interested in... So someone read this book and was like, this is such a good book. It needs to become a movie. Yes. And then other people agreed with that person and said, yes, you're right. It is such a good book. It should be a movie. But how can we make it a movie? Oh, yeah. Okay. And then, they made it more dramatic. It had to be more dramatic because, I mean, there are moments of high drama, but then the end, it kind of, it resolves in a way that feels a little... I don't know.
Like the main problem is solved, and then the other problem involves the new character she's met on the way that helped her with problem number 1. So it's like the climax should be solving Ms. Frisbee's problem.
Well, and it did,
but that should have been like the climax. Instead, they do that first, and then they deal with the other problem. In the movie, it's like all at the same time. And it is a good movie. It's a crazy animated movie. It is not a children's movie.
Well, if anybody wants to reread Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim and have like a book club like moment about it, I just read it with my kids, and I would be happy to do a Zoom night. So let us know. You can message us in Facebook, and we can do a Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim book club talk with adults about it. Or maybe we'll do like a movie night, like Wonder Spark movie night. I just did that with our babysitting co-op, and we watched a movie, a Curious George Halloween movie, and we could talk about it.
Did he finally like Redwall Leaf, or did he just give up on it?
I'm not sure I think he might have given up on it. So maybe we could revisit it at some point. Yeah,
I mean, it's another slow starter. But I feel like I was telling him, like, yo, all this crazy stuff happens. There's like this siege battle, and not everybody makes it out of that book.
It's dense.
It's cool. But it's like Lord of the Rings for kids. In a little bit, it's like high fantasy.
I think 5th or 6th grade
fantasy,
for
maybe.
that one, because it's dense. There's a lot to get through with that one. But Mrs. Frisbee, it felt like just the right amount for me to be reading to them. Like, I don't think he would have read it on his own. Yeah. These are the books but this is the type of book I want to be reading to him right now. Is like a chapter book that it won't. That they might not have read on their own, but isn't so dense that they're just like tuning out.
Yeah. All right. So Jenny Rogers got to go. That means we got to wrap it up too.
Okay. All right. One person said they're in for a Nim Zoom, so maybe in like a couple weeks, you guys could
Wonder Spark Book Club.
Yeah. Why not? Right.
But book club. But you do so poorly with book clubs, though.
No, but I already read it. No, I already read the book, so it's okay.
Right. So it's book club, but only if you've already read the book.
No, if I've already read the book, I'm going to trust that you guys will read the book. I just don't have time to read. Yeah. But you guys could get the book out from your local library, online and read it.
All I'm saying is like having a book club, but for people who have already read the book, so there's no pressure, of like slogging through something to a specific date and times. That's where people fall the wayside for book clubs, because it's like, okay, go read this. You have this amount of time. But then life gets in the way.
Well, I will say that there's 2 follow-ups in the Rats of Nim series, but they were not written by Robert C. O'Brien. They were written by 2 other people. But it feels like there's more to say about the story, like what happened to the rats? Right. Where did they go? So I want to hear from anybody who has read those books. Should I read them?
I would tell you definitively you should not watch the second movie.
What, there's a second Rats of Nim movie?
Yes.
Oy, okay.
There's a sequel. And guess who's the star?
Nicodemus.
No, he's an old rat.
Jeremy, the crow.
No, you think that'd be easy pickings, right? Or Ms. Frisbee again.
Timothy.
No.
Timothy.
Yes, it's Timothy.
Oh, Timothy.
Timothy, baby's first adventure. Universally banned as awful. Down Blue Studios did not do it.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so that could be fun. We'll announce it on the Facebook page. We'll pick an evening, and adults, you have like 2 or 3 weeks to read Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim.
Right, or watch,
or
right?
watch it.
Watch the movie.
Well, I thought maybe we could watch it together too. Even we could have like a movie night. Don Bluth movie night.
Illegal Zoom video night.
Did I say that? I don't mean that. I mean like a fun gathering where things might be played.
Oh wow. I'm wondering I'm curious if Zoom has the same kind of algorithms as YouTube, because you can't stream copyrighted music on Facebook Live or YouTube Live.
Well, you can in Zoom.
So I'm just wondering if Zoom has the same algorithm, or if
you can
just
play something and share
like.
your screen and share the computer audio.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
We're going to find out. All right.
Well,
thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody.
Thank you to the Buffalo Bills for not embarrassing Western New York by losing to the Jets. Sorry, Jets fans. It's like 0-5 now for the Jets, or 0-6, something really terrible.
No.
Sorry, New Jersey Jets. But anyway,
Isn't it the New York Jets?
yes, but just like the Giants, they don't play in New York State.
I know,
they
but
play
okay.
in the
Anyway,
Meadowlands.
we're so glad that you tune in every week, that you're listening to us. If you like this podcast, make sure you star it, rate it, thumbs up it, whatever it is, whatever platform you're getting. There's a positive way to reinforce like what you're hearing, and we would love for you to be that person to hit the thing for us.
Z needs your affirmation.
I do. I need your words of affirmation.
For just 5 minutes a day, you could positively affirm this young woman who just needs your 5-star reviews.
That's right.
And likes and shares.
That's all I need. That's all I need to feel whole inside. Okay.
Right.
We love you. Thank you all so much.
PuppetParentPodcast.com. We record live on Sundays
At 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's right, on our Facebook page.
I'm so little now.
Bye.
Bye.